Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today we get to meet with Carly Ries. She is a former digital nomad and is currently the fractional CMO for LifeStarr, a one-stop shop for solopreneurs, and is also the co-host of the Aspiring Solopreneur podcast. Welcome to the show, Carly.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, it's amazing because we have so many different kinds of guests on this show. There's people who do, I can't even really name an industry where we haven't had someone who has developed a great business in that industry. But you and I, we're like definitely cut from similar cloth because we just love entrepreneurship and helping to get people on their feet with their own business. And I love the name of your podcast, Aspiring Solopreneur, because there are so many people who are sitting in a cubicle or corporate America or just working a job that maybe they fell into, but wasn't ever really where they meant to see themselves. And they aspire for more, to be a solopreneur, have their own business, be their own boss. So how did you get to where you are today as this mentor and leader in the area of entrepreneurship?
I was one of those people that you just described. So my background was marketing agency life. I stumbled into it as a high schooler, looking for an internship, just fell into it. And it was my career, and all I knew was marketing, the marketing agency world. But for anybody that knows that world, there are really long hours. And you work a lot for not that much pay. And back in 2014, my now husband and I were like, gosh, we both work remotely. We should travel the country in an RV. And so we got rid of our place. And for almost 2 years, we were traveling up and down the coast. I was in San Diego for a while and just fell in love with it there, which I know you are very familiar with. But we were seeing all these great things, or we were supposed to be, and I was missing all of it because I would be in our RV, sun up to sundown, working. And I was just like, this is just such a bummer. We have such a cool opportunity to see all these wonderful places, to make memories together. We were just dating at this point. And it was just a really big wake up call. I was in my mid-20s, so I wasn't that far into my career when I had this epiphany. But I was just like, there has to be a better way. I should be able to make a living and make a good living while also enjoying the things in life that I want to experience. And that was my light bulb moment. And so after 2 years of remote life, working for another business, I jumped ship and I went out on my own as a marketing consultant, and I have never looked back. I've been able to make a living for myself for the past 8 years now, being a solopreneur and putting lifestyle first and trying to figure out how to support that lifestyle with my business instead of the other way around. And then in doing that, I partnered up with the founder of LifeStarr, Joe Rando, where we've developed a business that helps solopreneurs build a business around their lives instead of being or wanting to be a multimillionaire in 1 hour in your pajamas. That'd be cool, but not always realistic. So we help solopreneurs build their businesses now.
Right. And I'm definitely on board, as this is my life mission too, is we only get this one life as far as we know. We don't know what comes next, what came before. And in this incarnation where we are right now, we have sand in the hourglass and it is limited. We don't know how limited. Nobody knows, but it is. And so I love that you focus on these same principles of enjoy life. If you are in an RV and you're traveling the country, yet you don't have the time to go on a hike or check out some state park or national park, the choices should be made differently. And I love that you made different choices. So for everyone who heard LifeStarr, because you are the fractional CMO for LifeStarr, because it's a podcast, I would just want to spell it out for everyone. It's life to live. So LIFE. And then star has 2 R's. So it's STAR, but it's all one word, LifeStarr. I think that's a great brand, by the way, because full of life. And I want to know a little bit more about that. What is LifeStarr? What does it do for its customers and clients?
Yeah. So it's funny because we actually had a conversation yesterday that really solidified how we feel about the business. You know how you get so wrapped up in it that you're like, oh, what we say makes perfect sense. And then you have a conversation that just crystallizes all of your thoughts. So we are a business that helps solopreneurs basically start, run, and manage a company of one. So for people that have just jumped ship or for people that are still in their corporate job and are wanting to or want a side hustle, we help them navigate the path of solopreneurship. It can be really intimidating. It can be really lonely. So we provide tools, resources, and community for these solopreneurs. Now, when I say something shifted yesterday, we've always known that we want to help people create a business that supports their life rather than run a business that owns their life. But we were talking to somebody yesterday that was like, you can get your people, you're like an accelerator and you do this. And we're like, we're not an accelerator. We don't want to say we're the opposite because we don't want to like
You're not a decelerator.
Thank you. But there are a lot of people that the Silicon Valley entrepreneur is really intimidating and they just want to run a successful pie business out of their kitchen. And they want that warm virtual hug of somebody holding their hand and guiding them through tax strategy and tax planning, which I also like the hand holding there. They need help with their lead gen efforts and just the really basic things of running a business that a lot of times bigger communities and bigger businesses neglect. They're like, let's just figure out how you can get to that 7-figure mark. And that's not always the lifestyle solopreneur's goal. They want to create a business that just supports their current lifestyle. So that was a really big turning point yesterday of just like, no, we are not the accelerator. We are the warm hug to guide you through this.
I think so many entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, and what's the difference between the words? Like an entrepreneur, it's someone who's starting a business, but it could be someone that's aiming to start a business where they're right off the bat have to hire 40 people, right? Most solopreneurs, they're thinking smaller team, like it's just them and maybe a few freelancers. Essentially, it's the same motivation, which is to start a business and to call your own shots and work for yourself. But there's a lot of people who do that and then they end up being a worse boss to themselves than the boss that they had at their prior employment. And it's very easy to fall into that because when you are an entrepreneur or solopreneur, there are a lot of demands on your time, the more hats that you wear. So if you are the bookkeeper and you are the salesperson, but also the person who thinks about structure and who thinks about procedures, and then who's actually out there also servicing the clients that you're able to attract, it can get so demanding because you're trying to do the job of 10 different people. So what are you seeing as the causes of burnout among the entrepreneur community?
Yes, I'm so glad you said that because you will be your hardest boss. You will micromanage everything that you do. I think the thing that people get confused with, and you already said this, was they don't work with other contractors. They think that the word solopreneur means that they have to wear all of those hats that you were talking about. But we really try to stress the importance of delegating, finding those contractors. Like I just said, with bookkeeping and taxes, that is not in my wheelhouse. So I delegate that to a CPA who is wonderful and she handles all of that. And I think people really need to identify their areas of strength and their areas of weakness and see how they can put that on somebody else's plate. VAs are a great way to do that. I said we have a community within LifeStarr and people are pairing up all the time. And sometimes they trade because when you're starting out as a solopreneur, you may not have a huge amount of cash laying around. So I just think figuring out ways to work with other people and people that are in a similar boat as you is huge. I think in addition to outsourcing, automating. We live in the age of AI and I love AI for some things. I don't like AI for some things. But regardless of how you feel about it, there's so many opportunities to automate your processes, automate your tasks, and you can just really save so much time with that so that you can free up the time you want to live that life that you're looking for. And I think people think they need to educate themselves in marketing. They need to educate themselves on operations, and they don't. They need to focus on what they're good at and what they can figure out quickly, and then give the rest to somebody else.
It's amazing. It makes me think of I don't know if Pat Flynn, great guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a podcaster. He's actually based in San Diego, like I am. And he is amazing. He once said this that stuck with me. In fact, I had it typed out and I had just typed it on a Word document, hit print and cut it out and put it visually where I could see it. But he said, if this was easy, what would it look like? Because sometimes you have to ask your brain that question. Okay, this is hard or this is complicated or it's taking too much time. But if it were easy, like if it were simpler, if it didn't take as much time, what would it look like? And our brains are genius. Like our brains can do things we don't even know our brains can do. But sometimes when you ask yourself a question, you will generate a good answer. And it may be hire a bookkeeper. You might be sitting there trying to do your own books and you're like, if this were easy, what would it look like? And you'd be like, ding, ding. It would be that I just call my bookkeeper and say, hey, do you have this month's profit and loss ready? And I love that you help people come to that realization that number one, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And there are ways to be a solopreneur, but not do everything yourself and to get the help that you need. So give me some examples. I'm so curious. At LifeStarr, what are some of the most, I would say, the niches or professions or type of solopreneurs that you see the most of? If you were to do a pie chart of who have we helped, I'm sure there's one that like comes up most often, but I'm sure there's also the opposite, like some solopreneurs that have started businesses that no one else has even really thought of before, but you've been able to help that person bring that idea to life.
Oh my gosh, there have been so many where I'm like, I didn't even know that job existed. It's behind the scenes at the airport. You're like, somebody actually has that. What? You just don't know what you don't know. I've learned so much from different people. But to answer your question on who we see a lot of consultants, we see a lot of coaches. And ironically, we actually see a lot of marketers, but they're marketers that are, I want to say, classically trained, where they're like, oh, SEO and brand awareness and just all the keywords in the marketing world. And they're having to retrain their brains. And this doesn't just go for marketers. This goes for everybody trying to do research on lead generation. They're going off of what they think they should be doing. And they're forgetting that as a solopreneur, people don't necessarily need a lot of clients. The coaches, the consultants, the marketing consultants we speak with, they only need 5, 6 clients at a higher price point to make the living that they want. So why are they going out doing SEO, doing all these like brand awareness techniques on social when really what they should be doing is networking and emailing their personal email list and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. We were interviewing this guy on our podcast a few months ago. And he was like, the biggest thing that got me to my success was just letting people know what I do. He was like, I was so nervous coming off as salesy that I wasn't telling my parents. I wasn't telling my friends. I wasn't telling my network. I kept it to myself. And he was like, once I told them what I was doing, it just took off like wildfire. And I think people need to take a step back and focus on what and who their business actually serves and refocus their efforts based off of that. So that's been a huge thing at LifeStarr is just getting people to, again, in an effort of saving time. Don't waste your time doing things because other people are, or for jumping on the newest TikTok dance. Like it may not serve your business. So really get clear on what you want. And that's been the biggest eye opener for me. But that's basically been across the board, no matter what profession you're in. It's people trying to really figure out how to get their leads and grow their business as opposed to doing what they think they're supposed to be doing.
For your podcast, what do you focus on? Is it are you bringing your students on the podcast or reaching out to experts who can teach your students? How do you leverage that podcast to really help the community?
Sure. So we've had both. For the most part, we have experts on. I'll give the episode from this week an example. Inbound or HubSpot, Inbound's largest conference was a couple of weeks ago. And they were marketing, sales, and AI tactics that you should apply to your business. Now, most of the people that are attending this conference are a part of huge businesses. And so what our team did is they went to the conference and took the biggest insights and whittled it down for solopreneurs specifically. So we try to do that. We take those big picture ideas, sales, marketing, all those things, and really have people on who are experts in helping solopreneurs specifically with those big picture things again in an effort to not waste people's time. We also have experts on that talk about imposter syndrome, which is huge for solopreneurs. We all get in our own way. We have people talk about the importance of taking care of yourself. You cannot run a successful business if you are not running successfully. So we talk about mindset, just basically little nuggets for solopreneurs that are tired of just the general guidelines for marketing, sales, operations, and want to know how it applies to them specifically. So that's what we really try to focus on. And then Joe and I, my co-host, as well as the founder of LifeStarr, we've also started a second episode each week now that takes these topics and we just riff on it. And we call it the soundbite. It's like a 5-minute episode because like you, we try to aim for about 20, 30 minutes in our regular episodes. But for these ones, if I want to listen to something just while I'm unloading the dishes, we now have these soundbite episodes, which is just us talking about our opinions on a given topic, and having a little more food for thought for people. So that's the focus on our podcast.
So helpful, especially for anyone that truly is at that aspiring solopreneur stage where they are like, I wish I could do this. That way they can learn more about what's available and also just get inspired. And there's experts out there, but there's also ideas floating around. And in my opinion, these ideas, it's so fun. Think back at your own life at the times where it was the most random situation, but somebody said something and it sparked something in your mind and you ran with it and it became this like catalyst, even though it was just some little kind of throwaway moment. Maybe you were just on a walk or at the park. But you are so generous because you are giving listeners of this episode free access to the Solo Suite intro from LifeStarr. So tell us a little bit about what that freebie is. And then we, of course, will always post the links to the freebies in podcastguestgift.com. That is our vault where we keep, it's a repository of all the amazing, generous offers and gifts that our guests make available to listeners. So podcastguestgift.com is where you can find all of the gifts from our audience and from everyone that comes on the show as a guest. But also feel free to share a direct link as well, Carly, because I think there are people listening that want to check this out.
Great. Yeah, no, I appreciate you putting it all there. You can also find it at LifeStarr again with 2Rs.com. So LifeStarr.com/intro. And that will take you right there. And then if you're like, oh gosh, I can't remember what she said, like intro, if you just go to LifeStarr.com, you'll see it in our products and services drop down. It's the free options. And I should probably plug what it is. So basically,
I'm already sold. So
perfect.
But what will they find in the Solo Suite intro?
Yes. So they have access to our newsletter, which is not a spammy newsletter. We do it once a week, but again, it has just our favorite resources for solopreneurs that week. We can show them your podcast, our biggest takeaways for solopreneurs that week. They also have access to our community, which is a thriving, it sounds boastful when I say this, but it really is a thriving community of solopreneurs trying to help one another. We've had people pair up for accountability. We've done partnerships, like I was saying earlier. So really, if you want to be with other solopreneurs looking to build their business, it's an awesome community. No promotions or anything in there, just good old fashioned helping other people out. We also have 2 free events every month that you'll have access to, which is our Solopreneur Problem Solvers. And that is like a speed dating networking event, but for solopreneurs. And basically you get put into a room on Zoom and with 4 other people, and you help solve each other's challenges. You come to the table with a challenge, you have time to speak, and everybody tries to problem solve around what you're experiencing. So it's just a power hour of finding solutions. And then every month, we also have a thing called Solopreneur Success Sessions. And that is when we have a guest speaker come on to talk about a variety of things. We did do an inbound recap this last week. This coming month, we're having a website showdown where we're going to review live 3 websites so people can see what we'd recommend and how they can apply it to their own websites. We've had all kinds of topics, but that's another free event you can have access to. And yeah, so lots of great resources for that free package. We will also have paid tiers come the new year that you could sign up for a wait list for once you've subscribed to intro. But right now, just focus on the free stuff, right?
So fun.
Sign up today.
So fun. That was just a great summary of everything in there. And it really does come down to community, and being a solopreneur can be lonely because if you're just, especially now, everyone just works from home. You're lucky if you have a ton of pets because then at least every day you can pet the dog, pet the cat, but it can also just feel very isolating, very lonely, and you lose track of the fact that other people might have those same struggles. They might have some solutions for you. So I love that you have so much focus on kind of more heads in the huddle and helping each other and being that sounding board and masterminding where more people putting their thoughts together and brainstorming together can actually add up to some great solutions. So this is really, in my opinion, one of the real benefits of a community like LifeStarr.
Yes, yes.
So how do people connect with you further? I know that it's lifestarr.com with 2 R's. So LifeStarr, 2 R's.com. And you have the Aspiring Solopreneur podcast, which people can tune into. Any other places they should go, or is that kind of the right destination to learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, those are perfect. I'm really active on LinkedIn, and it's just Carly Ries, Ries. You can find me there. I'm on there all day, every day, it seems. If you have any direct questions, Joe and I are open books. We love talking to our audience. So just emailing me at Carly, Carly at LifeStarr, again with 2Rs.com. And then this is breaking news, actually, as of yesterday. But Joe and I just signed a book deal for the For Dummies series from Wiley, where we'll be writing the book Solopreneur Business for Dummies that will come out later later next year. And we just signed that deal yesterday. So at some point, you can find us there. And we're really excited about that.
Congratulations. I love the For Dummies series. And I will tell everyone, if you haven't seen this series of books, the books are not actually for dummies. But I love the branding because they really are it's just so broken down. It's so broken down. I've actually given people a lot of different recommendations for different kinds of books, like even way back when. I remember reading the Photoshop for Dummies book because I was like, I just need to figure out this software. And it was the best of the books that was out there. It really broke it down. It made it really easy to learn that software. So I love hearing that. That's a big announcement. This is great.
Thank you. We were so excited. So that is just breaking news. You heard it here first.
All right. Very cool. We are kind of part of this mutual admiration society. I love what you guys are up to. I know you're very supportive of the Lifestyle Solopreneur podcast and what we've got going on. And it was just so nice to carve out this moment to chat and to catch up and talk about all of the great things. And now, especially, I just want to say congratulations. You've got so much going on.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much again for having me today. I was really looking forward to this and it did not disappoint.
Sounds amazing. All right, Carly, we will reconnect soon. And for everyone else, just make the most of today. And remember, in the words of Pat Flynn, if this were easy, what would it look like? And let's all be on the path towards that.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness. But money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool. Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use the coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.